Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this beautiful Sunday. We're back in Jeddah. We're doing the F1 cargo support series. Today we're flying from Jeddah to a stopover in Singapore, and next week we'll carry on the flight with a new crew, heading from Singapore down to Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix. We have about 64.5 tons of cargo on board, and we're looking at about an 8.5 hour flight time out of Jeddah, where it's very sunny, a little bit windy, but not too bad. So let's hop on board the 747 freighter here, and we'll start getting her all set up. Alright, so the aircraft was loaded and fueled overnight, and she is ready to go. Well, I should say during the day. It's late evening here, and the sun will be going down shortly. Alright, so let's got to remember what the keys are here. There we go. Let's pop up top, and we'll start getting the aircraft up and ready to go. So, first thing we're going to do is turn the battery on, external power. Standby power to auto. Gonna turn on all the fuel pumps, and we're gonna get that APU up and running, since we are kind of sitting out here without external power. Alright, so the APU should be firing up. Carry on getting everything up and running. Alright, so battery switch is on, standby power switch is on. I think I can hear the APU. Hydraulics are on. And we're going to come up here for the alignment. Into the center there. There we go. Alright, we are up on the EPU. Parking brakes are on. We got flap lever is up, speed brake is up, gear lever is down. Fuel control switches are all off. Anti-ice and oxygen are good. External lights, we will turn on our logo lights down below. And we'll set our altimeter. So our current weather here in Jeddah, we'll grab that. Winds are 141 at 14, 29 degrees and 1008. Let's switch that over, and 1008 is set. And we'll set that on the standby as well. There we go. And we come down to the FMS. Is number 4. Alright, so into the FMC. Everything is looking good. We can go to our position initialization. We'll copy that down. And we are good. Gonna go to sim brief. That's good. No, we don't need that yet. And position is done. Over to our route. We're going to request our route. There we go. Route is ready. We'll load it in and execute. Did not seem to get the entire route there. Let's try that again. Purge the route out. Let's load it in. There we go. 4 pages. Now that is looking a lot better. Alright, clear the message. And we can do our departure and arrival. So we are departing out of Jeddah on 34 Center. And we are going off on the EGPO1W. There we go. And we'll execute that. And as the winds stand right now, when we get to our arrival, we will be going in on the ILS 02 left. And it will be through the ARMA 1 Alpha, and a PIPA transition is correct. Let me just confirm. It is. And we will execute that. Alright, so that is all set up into our FMS. We can come over to our legs. That all looks good. Come down. A lot of pages here. We'll take out the discos. So there's ARMA. Then we go bow bang, which is correct. I'm just pulling up the chart. And we go to Samco, and then from Samco should be up here. There we go, and we'll execute that. And that is now all entered in. Alright, so that information is all up on the FMS. And I think we are pretty much good to start. APU is still running. And we are going to be starting here on the stands. So I'll pop back up top. APU bleed is on. And if we check our fuel page, no, we're not up fully yet. That's fine. We'll leave them all on. There we go. We'll get the APU generators up and running. Over the fuel page, and if we look down, we have no fuel in the center and no fuel in the stab tanks. So we can turn off the center and stab tanks. Alright, and everything is good and going. So the hydraulic demand pumps are all on, fuel load and pumps are all on, APU is up. I'm going to throw on the beacon light to both. Doors are all closed, and passenger signs we can turn on. Not that it matters, since we are all alone. Alright, we're going to switch over to 12280. Just because. There's the ILS is kicking in. And we are now up on both sides. Excellent. So, initial climb out of 12,000 feet. Puts us above 10, so we don't have to worry about that. Runway heading for our departure runway on runway will be 336 degrees. That's set, and indicated speed of 200 knots is fine. We'll pop back down. So position is done. We can go to our performance page. And fuel is entered in. Let's pull up my flight plan here. Reserves for today's flight is 4.5 tons. Our cruising altitude for today is an initial of 330. Cost index of 80, and that is set. Thrust limits. We're good. We're going to do a TO climb on 1, and our takeoff information, it will be a flaps 10 departure. Center of gravity is there, and that's going to be a 145, 161, and 177. All right. So that is all in. Acceleration height of 30-30. And we should be good to go. So we're going to be starting on the stand. No point in doing anything else. We are alone here. And we don't need to push back. So we're going to come up top, check everything. Everything is looking good and on how we want it. So we are ready to start. I'm going to start engine 4 first. C4 is starting to spin. And adding fuel. As you can see by the fuel flow diagram, we are going to be drawing fuel out of the inner main tanks first. And when those reach 13.1, we'll switch over so that each engine is drawing off its own. Start engine 3. That will help balance out the fuel load on the aircraft. And there's 1.5, adding fuel. When we get the starter cut off, we will switch over to both 1 and 2 starts. There they go, and starting engine 2 and engine 1. And adding fuel. And if you look on the diagram, you can see the inner one here is showing a draw. That's for the APU. There's starter cutout on those engines, and we now have good starts on all 4 engines. Alright, so our electrics are all on. That is good. I'm going to come up here, turn the APU off. APU generators are now off. Engine bleeds are coming on. APU bleed can come off. Packs 1, 2, and 3 are all on. Recall status is good. Reference speeds are in. We have our 145 V1 speed. Flaps going to 10 for takeoff. Trim is good. We are within the green. Flight controls. It's full left, full right, neutral, full forward, full back, neutral, full left rudder, full right rudder, neutral. Auto brake set to RTO. Gonna come up, we'll turn our window heats on. As you can see, parking brake is set, seat belts are on, and auto brake RTO. Alright, we are up and running. Everything is cleared away. So we're going to taxi out to runway 34 center. I got to go around the terminal here. We're going to taxi forward. We'll go out over here, cross the runway, and work our way around. All right. So we can clear the flight control page. I'm going to leave. I always tend to leave the fuel on just as a reference to myself. So brakes are off. And we can start our taxi. Oh. So there's somebody coming in, obviously on some other type of preset, since he's landing with a 14-knot tailwind, which is not advisable. So we are on multiplayer. Hello, My Little Pony fan. How are you? Alright, so we're just going to come around the corner here, and then we're going to taxi out and across 3-4 right, heading for 3-4 center. A beautiful day here, no clouds. Bit of a wind though, we are on the coast. I believe it's the Red Sea. Nobody inbound. So we're going to go across and head up the other side. We got a little bit of a taxi here. We gotta watch that ground speed. This thing can get going rather quickly. And as mentioned, it is the evening here, so sun will be setting soon. And we'll be coming down in the dark. Probably early morning or pre-dawn arrival into Singapore, but I'm not quite sure on that. We'll see where we end up when we get there. bring her around the corner here. Big beast of an airplane. We're not quite too heavy yet either, but we've got a fair load on board. We're going to go across Victor here. Again, we are on multiplayer. There's the 747 that landed. But it's fairly quiet here. Again, people are using their own weather settings, so you get a little bit of variety in approaches and everything. Looks like another Fly UK cargo coming in. Interesting. We're going to go out to the far one and take that down to runway 34 center. Go. He's going in there, probably heading over to the cargo terminal. It's nice to see the model matching, at least putting him in a 747 livery. So we're going to take the whole runway. It is hot here. Oh, it's not too far to go. Again, this is the default airport. You can see the disconnected jetways. It's really a shame that that happens, but not much you can do unless you want to go in and update all the airports with payware or freeware. Not all of them have it. Oh, something I just realized I forgot to do, which I am going to do, is when we get down here, we're going to park for a second. I'm going to have to shut her down and start the VA tracker, which even though I got notes around, I forgot to do. Got to get into a better habit with that. We're going to go down to Hotel 1 here. All right. So let's park up at the hold line. Get the parking brake on. We're going to pop up top. Oop, that's wrong button. We're going to pop up top quickly. And with the pumps on, we're going to come over here. We're going to start the APU. Shouldn't take too long. We'll get that up and running. And once that's up, we'll go over to the APU generators, APU bleed, and then I'll shut the engines off. And as soon as I wind down, I'll start the tracker and then start the engines up, and we will get on our way. There's available. So they're on. APU bleeds on. Bleeds are off for the other engines. Quickly shut them down. All right, we are running. So let's start 3 and 4. Get the fuel going to those nice and fast. I think I got to bang it into my head to start the tracker as soon as I start to stream. We'll wait for the cutoff and then I'll start the other two back up and then we'll be good to go. It's annoying. It happens. There we go. And we'll start 1 and 2. All right. We're back up. We'll get those bleeds back on for that side. And we'll be ready to go. While we're waiting on that, we'll just do a quick check. Nobody inbound. Everything is looking good. He's landing over there. Or I don't know where he's going. He's departing. This guy's taxiing around over on the other side. That's fine. There's the cutout. So we'll get those bleeds on. That one can come off. Gens can come off. We'll turn off the APU. Alright, so before takeoff, vital data is checked. We have our V-speeds, packs are on, cabin crew is notified, flight directors can now go on. Auto throttle is on. We'll get our landing lights are all on, our turn-off lights are on, our let's get over here so we can read these. Navs are on, strobes are on. Logo light can come off. We're all set with our lights. And the FCP is set up, heading, and initial altitude. Alright, brakes released. Come around to this side. Let's move into position here on 3-4 center. Again, this is the Salty Mod 747. It is the default aircraft with a mod placed over it. So it's a bit more functional than the default, but still not 100%. A lot better than the default one though. Gives us an aircraft we can fly. Love to see a Payware 747 come out. Especially with freighter variants. This is actually the passenger variant with a freighter skin over it. Alright, moving into position. So as it says in the description, this is a split stream. We'll be climbing up to cruise flight level, and then I'll be ending the stream. And in about 7 or so hours, we'll be picking it up as we do our briefing and arrival into Singapore. All right, here we are. So we're going to fly the published departure. So we have a 6,000 foot initial. This thing doesn't handle constraints very well. And then an 8,000 foot, and then we're clear to climb after that. All right, so here we go. Engines winding up to 40%. Don't have a clock to start. Or do we have a clock to start? No, we don't have a clock. So 40%, brakes released. Takeoff power set. Airspeed's alive. $80 knots. V1. And rotate. There we go, positive rate, gear coming up. Hey, Dark. Autopilot on, we are going off on our LNAV VNAV. Let her get stable here. Start bringing the flaps up, flaps 5. We do have a 3330. There's the drop for our acceleration. How are you doing today? Flaps 1. And flaps up. So turn off lights can come off. So gear is up, flaps are up, packs are on, external lights are as set. Transition altitude here out of Jeddah is 13,000 feet, so we're not going to switch over quite yet. And the APU is confirmed off. 1,000 to go. There we are, climbing out. Not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. It's a nice day here. I got to go out for a bit before we arrive into Singapore, but we should be a good flight. But other than that, doing okay. All right, so if we scroll out, see there's our route around. When we click the data, it's not showing any constraints or anything. So, is what it is. but it's not a bad improvement from the default. Makes it flyable. Alright, so we're cleared ATC up to our cruise altitude. We'll take it as that, and we are going up to, as I mentioned, flight level 330 for our first step. Get that dialed in. Flight level 330. And up we go. As you can see, we're going to come up, we're going to turn out over the Red Sea and then fly down along the coast for a little bit past the airport again. And then cut inland as we head off on our track over to Singapore, basically cutting over Saudi Arabia, Oman, and then out over the Gulf, clipping the bottom part of India, Sri Lanka, then over Indonesia and into Singapore itself. There's 9,000 feet. And we're coming up for 10,000. It's 10,000 feet, so the landing lights can come off. Now just settle into our cruise. I'll switch over to standard pressure. Alright, we can accelerate to our higher speed now. Should be making that turn out any second. There we go. And the airport's back here where we left. So we're going to turn around, we'll fly down the coast, and then turn eastwards again and head out over Saudi Arabia. Settling into our climb profile. See, we're maintaining a fairly high speed as we climb. And that will convert over to a fairly steep climb as well. So we're going to get up to cruise level pretty quickly. Just continuing our turnaround now. Dealing with that wind as well. It's giving us a little bit of a push. Although with the default logic in the FMCs and the default airplane, she's hunting a little bit. Back and forth on the line. We're now turning on to the next waypoint. So we're going to scroll out to a little bit better range. So once we get straight up on here and we're through 20,000 feet, I think we'll wrap up the departure stream as we kind of settle into our climb to cruise. We got a couple steps that we're going to be doing. We're going to end up at flight level 370 at one point. Before we begin our descent, so we'll get up a little bit higher. But our next step is at Jeddah, which is located, let's see if I can find it. Just before we leave Oman and headed over the Indian Ocean. So we'll be at 330 for a little while. Alright, we're climbing up very well. Here's 20,000 feet coming up, so I'm going to leave you here. We'll be back with the second stream, as I said, 7.5 hours or so, picking us up for the briefing into the arrival into Singapore. As always, if you want to join us on these flights, Wednesdays and Sundays are multiplayer, and Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays are on VATSIM. You're more than welcome to come along. Information can be found on the Discords, and the Discord link is posted in the description of the video. Thanks very much for coming along. Hopefully we'll see you for the arrival into Singapore. Take care. Bye for now.